The countryside was quiet, the kind of quiet that only existed miles away from the chaos of the city. Morning mist rolled gently across the fields, wrapping itself around the worn wooden fences and the rows of crops that lined the land. To an outsider, the farm looked ordinary, just another piece of soil tended by hard, calloused hands. But beneath its humble surface, the land carried a history. The woman who owned it, Miss Evelyn Carter, was not ordinary by any measure. She was a survivor, a woman with secrets buried deeper than the roots of her corn. Evelyn lived alone in the farmhouse, a figure often seen from afar as she moved about with a rifle slung casually across her shoulder. To the neighbors, she was simply the tough farm widow. Few dared to ask questions about her past, and Evelyn never volunteered answers. Her days were filled with tending to her animals, repairing broken fences, and keeping the soil alive. But when the sun set, when the world became quiet, she often sat on her porch, sipping tea, her sharp eyes scanning the horizon. What most people didn't know was that Evelyn Carter had once been one of the most feared snipers in the military, her name whispered across battlefields, her shots precise and deadly. She had retired long ago, trading war zones for farmland, but fate has a way of pulling the past back to the present. And one night when a ruthless gang targeted her farm, they would discover that some legends never die. The farm stretched across 30 acres of fertile land, a gift from Evelyn's late husband's family. To Evelyn, the farm was more than just property, it was sanctuary. She had fought wars, crossed deserts, and watched cities crumble, but this quiet soil grounded her. Every blade of grass was a reminder that life could be rebuilt. Still, peace was fragile. News of crime spilling from the city into rural areas had been circulating for weeks. Evelyn heard whispers in town about a notorious gang, the Black Vultures, who raided farms for food, money, and weapons. Evelyn paid little mind. She wasn't naive. She kept her rifles polished, her ammunition stocked. She also had something the gang didn't: training. Years of discipline had honed her reflexes, and though her hands now tilled soil instead of pulling triggers, her aim hadn't dulled. But trouble has a way of seeking strength, and trouble was heading her way. Deep in the city, the Black Vultures were plotting. Darius leaned over a dusty map, his cigarette glowing in the dim light. This farm here, he pointed to Evelyn's land, has livestock, crops, and word is, the old lady living there got some guns. Easy pickings. The men around him laughed. An old woman? She won't stand a chance. Darius smirked. Exactly. It was a moonless night when the vultures crept onto Evelyn's land. The dogs began barking, their deep growls echoing into the night. Evelyn, sitting by her fireplace with a book in hand, paused. Her instincts, sharp as ever, told her something wasn't right. She rose calmly, walked to the wall, and pulled down a rifle. It wasn't just any rifle. It was her military-issued sniper, modified and cared for like a sacred relic. One of the gang's flashlights shattered in his hand. The man screamed, dropping to his knees. Panic spread. "What the hell?" another shouted. Darius gritted his teeth. "It's just a warning shot. Move." But the shots that followed weren't warnings. They were precise, calculated. One by one, the vultures realized they had walked into something far worse than an old widow's farm. Evelyn moved like a ghost, shifting from porch to barn, from barn to field. Every trigger pull echoed like thunder, every bullet striking with deadly accuracy. "This ain't no regular farmer," one man screamed, diving behind a haystack. Darius's heart pounded. He'd been in shootouts before, but this was different. Whoever was shooting at them wasn't guessing. She was hunting. By the time half his crew was down, Evelyn stepped out into the open, her silhouette framed by the glow of the farmhouse lights. Her voice was calm, commanding. "You picked the wrong farm." The men froze. Her tone wasn't shaky or afraid. It was the voice of a soldier. Darius, furious, charged forward with his shotgun. Evelyn didn't flinch. She raised her rifle, aimed, and shot the weapon clean from his hands. The blast echoed through the night, leaving Darius stunned. "Who the hell are you?" he demanded. Evelyn stepped closer, her eyes cold. "Once upon a time they called me Widowhawk." Recognition flickered in Darius's eyes. He had heard the stories. A legendary sniper who vanished after the war. He had just raided her home. His men, terrified, dropped their weapons. Some fled into the night, but Darius wasn't ready to surrender. With a roar, he lunged at her barehanded. Evelyn sidestepped with the grace of someone who had dodged death before. A swift strike to his chest sent him sprawling. "Leave," she commanded, "and tell the rest of your vultures this land is off limits." By dawn, the sheriff arrived, having heard the gunfire. He found Evelyn calm, sipping tea on her porch while bound and beaten gang members lay in her yard. "You handled all this? By yourself?" he asked, astonished. Evelyn gave a faint smile. "Just protecting what's mine." Word spread quickly. Evelyn Carter returned to her quiet life, tending her crops and animals as though nothing had happened. But for those who had seen her in action, she was no longer just a farmer. She was a protector, a reminder that strength can be hidden in the most unexpected places. The black vultures never forgot the night they raided the wrong farm, and Darius, scarred by defeat, carried the memory of Widowhawk's piercing eyes for the rest of his life. Legends don't fade, they simply wait, and Evelyn, the legendary sniper, had reminded the world that peace should never be mistaken for weakness.